Hi, everybody, and welcome back to episode 33 of the Time to Calibrate podcast. Bob Allaby here from the Time to Go Travel and Timepieces YouTube channel with co-host Brent Robillard from the Calibrated Wrist and writer and North American brand director of Isotope Watches, Marc Levesque. I have to be on my best behavior today as we are joined by a former employer of mine, Sam Messiha from the Toronto watch and jewelry boutique Gem Bijou. How's it going, Sam?
I'm good, Bob. How are you doing?
Good, man. Getting ready for the long weekend, so that's kind of nice. Brent's up north already at his cottage, and I'm about to head there to our cottage myself. So, as is customary with the podcast, we always like to start off with wrist checks. What's on your wrist today, Sam?
My go-to really is the Tudor Black Bay Smiley. I really like this watch. Very clean. Tudor has always been a brand that I really enjoy. I really like. I don't carry the brand as an authorized dealer. We do carry it in the pre-owned section of our business, but it would be a goal of mine to eventually carry it in store. But It is one that I really enjoy.
Awesome. What about you, Brent?
I'm actually double wristing it this morning. And so just as I was at the Toronto Timepiece Show, on one, I've got the UTD 8000 from RZE. And then on the other hand, I've got the Seamaster Diver 300M from Omega. So I'm just up here to do a little bit of content this weekend. It's gorgeous up here. The fall colors are amazing. I'm sure it's going to be the same when you get up to the Muskoka region there, Bob. But one digital and one analog.
I saw the pictures just before we started recording you posted this morning, and those are some crazy shots with the steam coming off the lake.
Honestly, this is my favorite time of year at the cottage. This is the weekend. We try not to miss it. I think it's been like 20 years in a row we've come up just for this weekend. Yeah, and the light, the quality of light is amazing because the sun comes up and it's we're in the sort of a valley, and so you get a lot of light but without that direct sunlight for about an hour in the morning, and so the photography opportunity is fantastic.
That's awesome, man. What about you, Marc?
I've got the Sherpa Unidive Sun that came from you that I'm going to be bringing to New York to return I love this watch. Honestly, it surprised me. If it was on bracelet, I don't think I'd be able to return it. The rubber strap that it came on, which is over here next to me, I don't particularly like. It's a little stiff and it has this really pungent smell of vacation on it. And so I put on the leather strap from one of the Isotope bronze watches, and it's super comfortable. But like I said, if this was on bracelet, I'd have a hard time letting go of it. It's nice and slim. The dial is gorgeous. It has this old school vintage charm that they've nailed perfectly. You know, a lot of companies, Tudor included, have gone back to their old catalogs and come out with vintage style designs, but modern take on them, right? And they feel like modern watches. This one feels like a vintage watch.
What kind of vacations do you take that pungent smells come to
Dude, it smells like suntan lotion and coconut. I told the guy, I've been messaging the guy at Sherpa. I can't remember. Martin, is it Martin?
Yeah.
I can't remember the guy's. Is it Martin?
Yeah.
And I told him, I can't wear it. It really has like this coconutty vanilla. It's strong. When it came out of the box there, it was really strong. So I took it off almost immediately. I was like, I can't wear this. It's too much.
Let me tell you, come February in Canada, you're going to be dreaming of that strap.
Yeah, probably. Actually, it was below freezing yesterday night here. So I'm already thinking summer's already gone, and I'm feeling sad. Bob, what do you got on?
I'm actually just wearing the classic G-Shock Square, and this was a gift to me for my birthday one year from Sam. And I just wanted to remind Sam, actually, that my birthday's coming up again next week. So that's why I'm wearing it today. So for people that don't know, Sam owns the watch boutique Gem Bijou downtown Toronto. Gem Bijou carries a lot of brands, and Sam is the best in the biz if you're looking to pick up something new or pre-owned. You and I met back in 2020, pretty well smack in the middle of the pandemic lockdown. Someone had recommended me to you to do some photography for your site and social media. And over the course of a few months, we did that, but that transitioned into me eventually working the store as things reopened. It was a fun experience being on the other side of the counter and learning the business of selling watches and jewelry. Literally talking watches all day long and getting paid for it was kind of a dream come true at the time. The first question I have for you is, who is your all-time favorite employee?
Well, of course you, Bob. It was always it's always a pleasure to have you. You've obviously been there through thick and thin of it. You really helped me really bring awareness during the pandemic to my store. And that I cannot thank you enough. There is a few people that I definitely want to thank that had a huge influence from the watch community. And that's something that I really want to bring to light, because a lot of people think the watch community supports each other, but we also feel it from a retailer's perspective. It all started with Jared. I'm pretty sure everybody knows Jared from New Zealand. He came to my store, picked up a watch, just chatting, and he said he was going to be there for a year. His wife is doing some work. She got a contract for a year, and he wanted to keep himself busy. And I'm like, Jared, you're welcome. Something I always prided myself for is just allowing the watch community to really have a space to call home. Until now, I use that as my platform to really stay connected to the watch community. From Jared, I've met Marc, who runs Red Bar.
Yeah.
And then everybody, again, I don't know if everybody's familiar with Sanjay, engineer wannabe. He's the one that really introduced me to Bob.
Yeah.
Then Bob is just, everything has been, he really opened up the whole watch community to me, really, and the exposure, and gave me a platform. Part of the platform that he gave me really is this YouTube channel, doing the unboxings, and it was kind of there was a mutual benefit to both of us in the beginning. And he would take some watches and he would run it on his show. I'd have the ability to just run an unboxing. We learned not to say certain things, because there's sensitivities with the brands and all that. So we wanted to make sure that it was just nice and clear and unboxing, and people know really where to get the latest and greatest. And I think I've always had the pleasure of working with the watch community and allowing me to really be ahead of the curve, to know what is coming up, what is the latest and greatest. So Bob being there, Sam, we need to get this model of G-Shock. We need to get this piece of this brand and this piece of this brand, just to really stay ahead of the curve. Stay on topic. Meeting Brent was a pleasure of mine as well, and that was through Bob. And Caroline, of course. My wife loves Caroline, so this is second. She really enjoys talking and chatting with her. We've met she's met at an event as well. RJ Camara, we can't really thank him enough to what he does for the watch community, and for what he does with respect to the Movember events. It really started with something really small, and he's really become a huge part of Movember in Canada, and through just the watch industry as well, with Grand Seiko and some of the brands that he works with as well.
So you're so grateful to Bob that all you gave him for his birthday is a little
You know what? We were small back then. But
so was Bob.
But he was humble, and he did mention that this is a watch that he liked, and that he wanted to purchase, and I thought it would be ideal just to offer that as a token of my appreciation and a thank you to him.
Yeah. Sam did up his game on the next birthday. I will after that, but
yes. And Marc right now, I think to be on this podcast and to be amongst really some of the elites in the watch industry is really a pleasure. I also got to give a shout out to Thomas, because he's been a big part of really what I do. He's with me since the Hamilton days, and now with kind of what he's doing with Watch DNA and all that. So again, I don't know, to have Bob work for me at the store and to be a part of this whole thing was really an amazing experience. And we continue to have people that really know the watch world, with respect to Sean, who now is, he's known as the encyclopedia of watches. So if you want to have any questions answered with respect to watches, he's the guy to go to.
Sean is he's the store manager, I guess now would be his title.
Yeah.
Or?
So we are growing. We are looking to hire new staff, but for now he is running my downtown store. And then, because I'm back and forth between this store now and Markville.
So we've talked about it quite a bit, but you've become quite well known in Toronto in the watch scene. Maybe you could tell the listeners how you got into the jewelry and watch business to begin with.
Well, my family has been in the watch world for a long time. I'm born and born in Egypt. My dad in Egypt had his own stores there. We were actually, it's a funny story, we were the distributors of Orient watches over there. So we distributed, yes, in Alexandria, Egypt. And when I came here, funny enough, I reach out to them now, and they're not calling me back, which I find is funny.
So it happens to other people too. Okay.
You see? But yeah, we, really that tradition really carried over. And I always knew that this is really where we were going to end up. Like myself and my brother, he had a store as well. But if we're kind of keeping within Gem Bijou, we started at the TD Center in November of 2002. And we were there under the umbrella of Primetime Watchery. We stayed there for around 10 years, and then we moved to Simcoe Place. The reason for the move was to really bring on brands, because in the concourse level further north, there was a lot of retailers around at the time. So I wasn't able to get the core brands, and we're starting to see the fruits of that right now. There is some brands that we're proud to say that we're going to be carrying in the near future. But yeah, from there, we've expanded now to Markville Mall, and we have new locations in the works. So stay tuned to see the exciting things that we'll be doing.
That's great.
You kind of gave me some credit for it, but I can remember the very first time I walked into the store. I was with Sanjay was there too, and I was surprised by some of the hard to find watches that you had. Just the watches people like us are looking for. Some of the jewelers you walk into, and it's sort of the mall watches, but you had a lot of the limited editions and all of that sort of thing. So it seemed like you were already kind of leaning into what the watch community was looking for when I showed up. Was that a newer approach to you at that point in time, or?
It was something that limited editions is always something nice to have, and we're blessed that we've had the ability to get these models, and we understood the importance of having these models. So these models we would also make available to our watch community. It wouldn't necessarily be something that again, when you came, Bob, the business really wasn't there. The retail really wasn't there. It was really all online. So that's also a part of it as well. Once we really grew our online business and we grew our in-store, the watch community really didn't know what we had, and they'd come and we'd make it available for it. But
there's a few guys, I won't say like last names or anything, but like Chris, huge Seiko fan. I can remember when I first started working there, I'm like, Chris, you got to come down to the store. And he was like one of the biggest customers we had there for quite a while. But yeah, anyways.
Yeah, Chris is a great guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talking about Chris has bought a few Seikos. I believe he ran a Seiko community blog at one point, and I believe now he is doing his own thing with he just basically shifted out of the watch
Yeah.
world,
Into other
into
collectibles.
other collectibles.
So this is our first opportunity to speak to a reputable watch retailer. Now, we've had several watch brands, media personalities, enthusiasts, promoters join us. So you're our first retailer to come and be on the show. Thank you so much. So you mentioned before that your family was in the jewelry and watch business before coming to Canada, and then you have your own retail empire. How has your heritage shaped your perspective on this business?
Well, we understood the value of the emotional element of purchasing a watch, and I think that was the key part of this whole experience and understanding it. Through my parents and through my grandfather. A watch has always been associated with special moments, specifically when we talk about graduations and people buying it for birthdays and just to commemorate the successful as part of life. Brands would honor their premium, I guess, or high valued employees by giving them watches. So we used to size, at one point I sized like 5 or 6 Rolexes, and they would never tell me who this company was because I wanted to work for them. But they gave them Rolexes. So you see quite a bit of that emotional element, and to me it's a huge part of the watch world.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. We had the opportunity to interview Adrian Bassard, and of course, Rado is one of the brands that you deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the first things he told us was that buying a watch, of course, you have many rational reasons, but ultimately, it's actually an emotional reason for buying a watch. It's interesting to hear that echoed from you too.
Correct.
Did you always envision yourself in the watch jewelry business, or did you consider other career paths?
Well, I graduated with a BA in economics, so but growing up in the business, we knew that this is what we wanted to do. And working at my dad's store, and throughout university, it was me really elevating that store. So when we started, from a branding perspective, we didn't really carry much. And then we introduced Tissot, and one of my goals was always to introduce one brand per year into the store. And that really just carried over till now. But with respect to other career paths, no, I think staying within kind of the watch world was always something that I wanted to do. Me and Bob contemplated construction at one point with some work at my house, but that failed miserably. It made me realize I should stick to the watch world.
I was just gonna ask you what your thoughts on chainsaws and chainsaw safety is.
Well, now I'm well aware.
I've been to your Simcoe location on a number of occasions now,
Yes.
but not all of those were strictly as a shopper. And one time you had quite an after-hours gathering one night where there were brand reps from the Swatch Group, the Longines, Rado, Hamilton, Mido, Tissot. Everybody was there. They were on hand to share their wares, to talk directly with attendees and Red Bar members. And then on another occasion, we encountered each other at the Toronto Auto Brokers in North York, which was kind of like a high-end luxury car dealership, and you had a display there with your luxury watches. And so alongside your participation with things like the Toronto Timepiece Show, you host and you attend a number of watch-related gatherings. Do you think that these extra efforts on your part give you particular credit with watch buyers, and does it make them see you as more than a retailer or maybe a community hub or something?
Yeah, we always like to be active with community events and with shows, just to really get the exposure to the latest and greatest, always knowing the novelties and what's coming out, and being able to really get the feedback of the watch community with what they thought is great and what they think is not going to be that great, or which lug sizes are too long and which lug sizes are too short, and which millimeter size, and which watch strap that smells like holiday. There's many different. So
hey, that's my comment.
So there is a lot really that we learn from these shows and these watch events, and it just keeps you in the know. That's really why I like to attend. And really, it is the perks of also being in this business, is to really, go and visit these shows and travel. I think, everybody loves travel. That is part of the fun part of this watch business.
That's interesting. It actually leads me to my next question, because one of the strangest places that I ever bumped into you was actually in the lobby of the Dominic Hotel in New York City. And I say that's strange because we're both from Canada and different parts of Canada, and we both ended up there. And now that was for the launching novelty reveal. So what other kinds of travel do you get to do through your business?
So, last, I believe in September, we were at the Hong Kong Hong Kong Watch and Clock Fair. We've attended Basel World a few times. We will be attending Watches and Wonders. There is rumors of other shows that we'll be exposed to. Right now, we'll wait. But being and I truly mean this. I really do truly mean this. Being part of the Toronto Timepiece Show has been one of my greatest pleasure, really, because it allows me to connect with people that I get to see after the other shows that we do. So kudos to Jason for really what he's doing with the Toronto Timepiece Show, because as fun as it is to attend the shows, it is also great to have great conversations with other fellow watch community members that we'll see after this.
Well, I'm sure Jason would give you the same kudos back for supporting him from the very beginning as well, because you bring a lot as a retailer and not a watchmaker to the show. And you also, of course, bring a lot of watches and timepieces that wouldn't be there otherwise. So I think it's fantastic. And it's a great kind of mutually beneficial relationship you guys have established there.
I appreciate it. I really do.
It is incredible to have so many like-minded people in one place. It's a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to next weekend in New York. It's going to be very much the same and a lot of fun there too. What do you see as Gem Bijou's competitive advantage in the Toronto GTA, Greater Toronto area, jewelry and watch market?
It's a great question. Do I want to give myself away? I don't know.
No one's listening. It's just us.
Fair enough. Well, I think the competitive advantage I have is going back to what I've been saying all along, is being connected to the watch community. A big part of my business is the watch community, and also my staff, ensuring that my staff is very knowledgeable and very helpful and accommodating, and really giving a valued experience. Because again, buying online is very easy nowadays. People just go online, and I think we were talking about this before we got on, but it's easy for people to go online and just to buy a watch, but to really have that experience is really key to the shopping experience.
So what's your approach to curating brands and products? How do you decide who to partner with? Isotope.
It would be a pleasure to have brands like Isotope and micro brands in my store. I've always said this, and I do mean it. Always know that all of these micro brands have a home in my store. So that's something that you'll know that you're always welcome. It's not an issue. But with respect to brands, I believe one of the biggest, if we're talking about outside of micro brands, and we're talking specifically
small independent brands.
If we're keeping it among small independent brands, you always want to make sure you have what people want, and it's always good to also introduce something different from what people haven't seen. So when you see Isotope, when you see Christopher Ward, when you see some of the other brands that were there, Fairer, Fears, all of those brands, I have to say, I was not aware of a lot of these brands because I'm so focused on the mainstream brands. But to be able to potentially work with these brands in the future, I think it would be an honor. And I think there is a big shift happening right now within the watch industry, where not only the watch community, but with shows that are happening in Canada and all over, there's starting to be a shift where the watch world, not just the watch community as a whole, but people are starting to really start getting into the market with micro brands. So I feel it's a big potential, and to see, I don't want to mention any names, but to see some of the major retailers, the well-respected retailers, show up at the Toronto Timepiece Show was a huge compliment to obviously what's happening there and me being there. So it really would be great to work with these brands for sure.
Amongst those known quantities that you have in stock, like Seiko or the major Swiss houses like Oris and Longines, etc., you carry, as was mentioned, some of these micro brands or small independent watch companies. You have, for example, in common stock, things like Micro Mil-Spec and Elka, which are not run-of-the-mill kind of brands, but are fantastic brands. Did you actively seek them out, or how did those relationships evolve?
Micro Mil-Spec had evolved through the first Toronto Timepiece Show, and we just had a discussion, and they came to see me, and we both wanted to try it out, and that's how we acquired some of that inventory at the store. Elka was introduced to me by Thomas. His Hakeem, the gentleman who runs Elka Watches, is a former Swatch Group employee, and they used to work together, and that was really how Elka came to be, and it's been doing well in our store. And it won a major award, I believe, recently.
Yes, they did.
So it's actually great that, again, same thing, crediting the watch community for this, having Elka, knowing, I believe at one of the events that we did that Bob was referring to, the evening event, we had one of the gentlemen there, Rudy, pick up a Elka and bringing it to the show and really exposing it showed a lot of positive feedback, and we're starting to see the rewards on that now. So it's nice to see.
That's great.
For the record, there, Isotope won 2 of those awards.
We did talk. We did talk.
Just if I remember correctly, Micro Mil-Spec was right
Correct.
behind you at the Toronto Timepiece Show last year, and they were in front of us.
I felt very safe.
And yeah. It was really cool seeing their stuff in person, because I too had only seen them online, and I had even written a couple of pieces, or at least one piece for Warner Wound on their Micro Milgraph, their chronograph watch, which is spectacular. And I think Bob's got one right now in for review. They're such a fantastic brand and such great dudes. I love their stuff.
Yeah. We've had 3 or 4 of them in at the Calibrated Wrist this summer, and they're all knockouts. They're fantastic watches. Mm-hmm. Now, so we talked a little bit here about the small independent brands, but of course you have a whole host of these mainstream brands, and you and I have talked about the addition of a new brand, a fairly heavy hitter in the watch world. So if we're allowed to talk about that, could you maybe tell us a little bit about Montblanc?
Yes, we've been working to acquire Montblanc for a very long time. And as you know, I'm heavily invested with Swatch Group. So it was nice to be able to branch off and really expand my wings and really get in with the other heavy hitter, which is Richemont. Richemont really is your open door to luxury. And funny enough, the way the watch community works and the watch world works, he was a former Tissot rep with Swatch Group, and we had a great relationship while he was there. And we've been working with Montblanc to try to acquire them for a while, and just it never really materialized until the market changed a little bit, and there's been an opening to, for retail in the downtown core, and Gary, the gentleman, just I mentioned to him again that we would love to carry the brand, and we are now an official retailer of Montblanc. We currently have the inventory in stock. We will have a huge shop-in-shop coming in January. So please, we will be doing an official launch and all that, and all of you will definitely be invited. But yeah, we look forward to really having that up and running, and yeah, just
Where you
excited
guys
about it.
have the watches, the pens, the full kind of lineup there, or more heavy on the watches?
So it will be the full collection. So the
Yeah.
watches is a big part of our business, obviously. So we'll have, one full display just to discuss watches, and to be able to showcase the watches, and we'll have 2 other displays that will have the pens and the writing instruments. My apologies. And the wallets and all that.
Cool.
Bob wants a Montblanc belt for his next birthday.
I wish to make them the fit.
Oh God!
I tried. I couldn't find one for myself either.
Oh my word, that's so funny. That just reminds me, I was getting dressed for the awards night, and putting my suit on. I hadn't worn it in a few months, and I'm like, oh no, I forgot my belt as I'm getting ready in the hotel. I just had this big thick belt for my jeans with me, and it wouldn't fit through the things. And then I put my pants on. I'm like, okay, I don't need a belt.
Don't
Oh, you look really good. I'll tell
don't
you
worry.
that.
You look great on stage.
Thanks.
No worries at all.
So
No worries.
back to the store a little bit. One of my favorite things, we talked a little bit about it actually this morning, is the people coming through, some of the regular customers, a lot of interesting people and stories. But one of the coolest experiences I had was working with a prop master who needed a G-Shock that played an
Yes.
important role as a piece of evidence in a show. And it was actually the wearer of that G-Shock in the show was fully dismembered. and the process, they came in and took a lot of photos of different G-Shocks, and they settled on one, and it was a clear, I can't remember the model number, but it was one of the ones with the clear strap and case. And they bought, I think, 15 of them, but they actually brought them back in to show me how they had cut the strap off and sort of destroyed the watch. It's on the Netflix. It's called The Madness. But that was just a really interesting experience. It took a few weeks for people, the decision makers, to decide which watch to go
Yes.
for and how they reflected on camera and all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
But The Madness on Netflix the first couple of episodes, it plays quite a big role actually in that show. So that was kind of a fun thing that
Yes.
came to mind from the store. But is there any standout moments for you like that, Sam? Like any kind of interesting stories, fun stories you can think of?
Yeah, I actually thought they're coming in for a refund, to be honest. I was concerned.
I have, by the way, I have pictures of the watches. I'll show you guys sometime, as they were experimenting with different ways to destroy them.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, we have lots of memorable customers. We've had, if we're talking about, some of the Blue Jay management team has come by. We have the relief pitcher from the Blue Jays. So some, Nav super fan has been by. Other, some of the basketball players, because CBC is right there, so everybody really passes by my store to get to the CBC building.
Mhm.
It's usually in the winter, so they'll have to go through the concourse to pass by me. But customers in the store, we have really a range. I have customers that do not want their watch removed from how the brand ships them. We have customers that wrap their watches in plastic. We have really, really different range of customer base. Everybody has their their own unique experience. The one that really stands out to me though, and he's also a close friend of mine, is a gentleman by the name of Mike. He's a former cop. He runs one of the my apologies, it's not coming to me right now, but he has his own watch community with his friends from high school. So they have their own WhatsApp group. It's a bunch of 6 or 7 guys. So he comes in, he bought, a watch for himself, and he'll show with his friends, and just really, it allowed them to connect again, and just to have, commonality amongst each other with watches. They've come by and they've bought a whole bunch of pokes for all of them. So they all have the same watch, and they're taking pictures. And so it's a really special thing to really see, again, going back to the emotional part of watches. This is it. This is really what excites me, to really see how much relationships are built within the watch community, and this is a great example of it.
I actually met up with Mike at the Toronto show, and he was telling me about the Pogues.
Yes.
It's like you have to buy a Pogue to become a member now. That's
Correct.
like the membership of the group.
Yes.
Yeah, Bob, you're doing Sam a disservice here. One cannot destroy a G-Shock. They are indestructible. G-Shock, the indestructible company since 1984.
I think in that show they actually put the guy through a wood chipper, so I don't know.
And the G-Shock came out and it was still ticking. You see, this is what advertisers should,
That's so funny. So the Toronto watch scene has seen a boom lately, a big part and due to Jason and the Toronto Timepiece Show, which you're a platinum sponsor for. What was the experience like this year? And do you see spillover with new customers after big shows like that?
So when we have these shows, it's always, we're not really, it would be ideal if we can do some business there, but that's not really our primary goal. It's really about networking, to really get to know some of the customers that we haven't met before, and just introduce ourselves and who we are to the watch community, not just the people we currently know, but just the wider range of the watch community. But yeah, we've had people who come by after and share their experiences and brands that they'd like to see at our store, and yeah, it's definitely great.
Well, we're talking about customers. Bob and I were once having a discussion about the difference, or maybe the disconnect, between what watch enthusiasts are clamoring after and what the average watch buyer is actually purchasing at store. So in your experience, what are people buying right now, and would it surprise us?
What are people buying now? People are buying. Seiko has become a really nice segue for people to get into mechanical watches. I know there's other brands that allow people to really dabble a little bit with mechanical, but they're not serious watch brands. And we're not talking, again, Marc, about micro brands here. We're talking about mainstream. I think micro brands,
small independent brands,
small independent brands. My apologies. I gotta correct that. Smaller independent brands. We're not talking about that. We're talking about, with Seiko, for example, everybody likes to get into that. Seiko 5 at $450. The Presage at $595 is really the introduction to the mechanical watch world, and then from there, it's really our job to either get them into. Actually, Tissot is also a great way to start. I think the PRX has done an amazing job with really allowing people to get into the Swiss world, but it is a little bit of a higher price point. But you
Hamilton
are getting
khakis too, maybe.
Hamilton khakis,
Yeah.
Hamilton khakis are also great. And since we're talking about all three of them, we got to introduce Mito as well. Mito's also been a great brand at that price point. But I find Seiko really allows the customer to really start at that lower price point for mechanical, and then depends on where the customer wants to go. We've had customers that will go right to Longines, and we have had customers that will, grab the PRX next and get into Hamilton Murph, and then with some of the Miro divers. So it really depends on what the customer's preferences are. And even Rado, I think people, it's really understated, or I think Rado has so much to offer that people are not really
Absolutely.
paying attention to it, and it's really making a lot of noise right now. Brent can agree. They are introducing some of the ceramic models and some of the mechanicals. It's a great brand, and Longines is really you can't. It just speaks for itself. What they've been doing within the watch world, and what their latest introductions, and some of the models that they're
Longines is
bringing
having
out right
quite
now,
a decade, really. I mean,
just blowing everybody
just
away.
been an upward climb ever since maybe that
Yes, correct.
aviation big eye, and then of course the advent of the Spirit collection too. Really great stuff.
Correct.
But I totally agree with what you're saying about Rado. This is a brand I feel like is incredibly underrated, and they offer like a wide range of things. They have the beautiful ceramic dress watches, and then of course they have these really rugged divers. And I've actually taken a couple of them underwater on dives, and they're just been fantastic pieces. But you mentioned Mito. And this is something that probably even more than Rado just gets lost in a discussion of watches in Canada. But the value that you get out of a Mito watch is absolutely incredible. The diver that you're getting for the price point, really something. I think.
I agree.
Do you ever have any difficulty keeping the right thing in stock?
Oh, that's always the challenge. That's always the challenge. That's really that's my job as a retailer, is to really have the ability to know what will be performing through the feedback, obviously, of the watch community, but also making sure that the right inventory is available. So I have a tendency to overbuy, and really, and that's really the only way I maintain that. If we're buying a limited edition, if I'm able to order a few, then I'll do that. But as the brands are growing, for example, Seiko with the Pepsi watch, I would have loved to have 5. I only received 1 per store, so it's still okay. But again, first, are the brands going to be able to supply because of the popularity of the brand, and at the same time, can we have it? And we also, with whatever inventory we get, we always make sure that we give the watch community really first crack at some of these very rare limited models.
Yeah, you guys mentioned Mito before, and my sister-in-law's brother George, who'll get a kick out of this because he listens to the podcast. One of his first biggest purchases for a watch was a Mito GMT diver, and he absolutely loves that watch. The value, like Brent said, is outstanding for what you're getting there for the price, and he wears it all the time. He loves that watch. And unfortunately, I've infected him with our disease, so he's now going from watch to watch, and his bank account is not thanking me for it. And Rado is also another one that I've always admired. I remember their watches back in the 90s. They had a dive watch called the Die Star, which is fully ceramic case and bracelet.
Yeah.
And I remember ceramic back then was very different than it is now. It was very sharp edges. It had barely any curves in the bracelet. It was just like slabs of sharp, ceramic.
Yeah.
And I remember visiting Burke's once and admiring that watch, and the salesperson telling me to be very careful with it, especially around the edges of the counter, because the ceramic will shatter.
Correct.
And it's come a long way. I mean, ceramics changed a lot over the last nearly 30 years now. So, whatever. But anyways, it was really cool, and I like that they keep pushing the envelope and pushing the edge. I'm glad that they're getting a resurgence there. So, Sam, how do you balance Gem Bijou's online presence with that very personal in-store experience?
Oh man, there is, at the end of the day, there's two different types of buyers. There's the people that, and this is the, uh, you know, the not so ideal part of our business, I guess, because you'll have people will go into. Uh, I find, anyways, for our customers specifically, we don't have that problem per se, but we do. Typically somebody will walk into a store, try a watch on, leaves, and then just goes online and finds the cheapest price, and they'll buy it online. And there's customers that want the experience, but to balance both, there is a shift to online, but I feel like there's two different types of customers, really, that I don't believe all online customers are in-store customers and vice versa. The in-store customer really wants that personal experience. The online customer really wants convenience, and we're able to satisfy both.
So, with the role of digital marketing, now you mentioned before the unboxing experience with Bob online doing YouTube videos. How does social media and online content, storytelling videos, play a strategy in your role with your store?
It's huge. We're looking to work with Brent on some things, and
Who's
Bob
Brent?
calibrated wrist.
Oh, that guy.
We're working, or we've worked with Bob with some of the unboxing, and we're going to be working also with Thomas, and because he does most of the digital when it comes to like Google ads and all that, and he does my Instagram as well. But we're trying to do a little bit more with Instagram now, with reels and all of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the digital marketing is a big part, and I'm excited to see what Brent from the Calibrated Wrist has got in store for
we've been in discussion about this for a while, and in fact we have done a number of collaborations over the last couple of years, and I'm always surprised by the degree of interest in for example, you'll send us, let's say, a Seiko watch, and we'll do the review and we'll do some posts and things like that, but we always of course put up a Gem Bijou ad or a link to the site. And even though you're not one of our official advertisers, you are one of the most clicked links on our site, and it's always a surprise to me. So it tells me too the number of Canadian viewers that we have that are coming to the site, etc. Even though we're still about 60% United States, Canada plays sort of that second and third role, sort of juggling back and forth. And so you can see the people who are reading it there are then thinking, well, how do I get my hands on it? And so it's a very cool transition. Now, using Bob as evidence here, we already know that you hire the best of the best, and you've mentioned this guy. You mentioned this guy's name and talked about him already a bit, but I feel like we really got to talk a little bit more about Sean. If our listeners have never been by the store, they would not have met your secret weapon. And so I want to know, how did you and Sean get connected? How did you manage to find, or did he find you, this guy who seems to have an inexhaustible knowledge about watches?
He does. He is very, very, very well versed when it comes to watches. Really knows the calibers, the thickness, the millimeters. It blows me away. But he came to the store as a customer, and he was looking for a G-Shock. And I wasn't able to help him with the watch that he wanted. He came back and he brought his Grand Seiko, and we just sat and chatted, and third time he comes by, he brings a resume, and before looking at resume, I'm like, you're hired. I really saw that, how great he is and how good he is with customers. Very, very patient with customers. Just a pleasure to really talk to and to deal with.
I know that the average person that comes into your store is not what you would call a watch enthusiast, and I'm sure that the majority of your business is from those people. But I can only imagine what it feels like to be a watch enthusiast, to come in there and be greeted by Sean, because he's one of those guys who could talk the talk and walk the walk at the same time. So I think it's fantastic to have him at that store.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I think I need to meet this Sean guy.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
I think that you guys would actually hit it off, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably would. I'm so sick into the experiences I've had in Montreal, except for the people at Royal Mount.
Yes.
Well, we've talked about that off air before. My
Yes.
experiences at retailers in Montreal has not always been very good. So it'd be wonderful to walk into a place and talk watches and with someone knowledgeable. It'd be great.
Next time you're in town, we'll have to do a little rundown and visit the store, Marc.
Absolutely.
Yeah, welcome.
Absolutely.
Please do.
So we were kind of talked about it a little bit. Lately, you've been working with some of these smaller independent brands, as Marc is reinforced.
Gold star for Bob.
One that caught my eye at the show, and I don't know how I've heard this pronounced a million different ways, but Agelosser.
Yes.
Is that sort of right? They look really cool. The one with the sapphire case you were showing me looks amazing. Is that something, a pretty new brand that you've been working with, or?
It is a brand that I discovered at the Hong Kong watch fair or watch and clock fair. It was a brand. It was an interesting brand. Again, once you associate with Chinese brands, a lot of people really look down on the quality and all that. And
it's starting to change a little bit.
That's correct. And that's the reason why we took this on. So Agelosser is what I believe it's correct. It's pronounced. The customer corrected me at the Toronto Timepiece show, so we're not perfect. But the watch that you're referring to, the sapphire case, is actually being tested, and I have no problems for it to make the rounds. But RJ is currently got it on wrist, and I'll get it back hopefully. In for the November event, and at that point I'd like for you, Brent and Marc and Bob, to really get some wrist time on it and just get your feedback. Cool. And just to really see is this tourbillon caliber that they have in there for real, or is it not? So far from what RJ is saying, he does see value in what it is. But yeah, it was just an interesting brand that I wanted to bring in, and I wanted to bring something interesting for the Toronto Timepiece show with independent brands, and just introduce that as one that introduce that to the world, really.
I think that's probably going to be the next time I see her. Are you going to be going to RG's thing?
Yeah, we're in talks now. We might actually, I actually do something together.
Sounds good.
Oh, okay.
Stay tuned. Yes.
Can you be my DD again this time?
Of course. I will be there from beginning to end this time, so
okay.
So it should not be a problem.
I heard you guys got shushed last time you were there.
Yeah.
I agree. Chinese brands have had terrible reputations up until maybe 5 years ago. Things started changing a little bit. Atelier Wen is probably leading the pack with quality, impressive Chinese-made products. And Agelosser, however you want to say it, sounds interesting. I didn't get a chance to visit your booth in Toronto. Unfortunately, it was pretty busy for us as it was for you. So I didn't get a chance to do the rounds very, very well. But I'm looking forward to seeing that one.
Yeah.
So on the note of new brands, sky's the limit. What brand or line would you love to bring to Gem Bijou? Now, you mentioned Tudor before, so you can't use that one. What other ones would you like? What brand would be like the ultimate for you to bring in, like a win?
Oh man,
Isotope.
Yeah. You're supposed to say Isotope here. Thanks, Bob.
Major or independent brands?
Your sky's the limit. What is what in your heart? What would you love to retail?
Honestly, I'd like to have, if we're talking just generic, I'd like to have a platform for independent brands to really be showcased in my store. I think this is really the future of the watch world. So that would be one thing. If we're looking for, some of the big players, again, everybody dreams of Rolex, obviously. I think that would be a great brand.
License to print money.
Yeah. But for me, I have also a connection with Omega. So Omega is a big one that I would really love to acquire. But I also have to say, like, honestly, I'm living the brands that I also like, that I carry. Like, having Longines to me is just a huge blessing, and really to see where Longines was and where it's going, and where it's elevating to is something that I'm very thankful for. And you look at Rado, same thing, elevating and really taking that next step, and the on a whole other platform, Montblanc. But going back to your question, I think if there is a brand that I have to really, I would probably say Omega. That's really it's the collector's watch, really.
It's one of those brands that if you were to stop collecting watches and focus on just one brand to satisfy all your wants, Omega could be that brand. You could have a dress watch, an incredible chronograph, a super deep diver, a classic. You could have, bracelets, straps. They do it all. It's one of my favorite brands. I think out of all the brands I've owned, I've probably owned more Omegas than anything else over the years. They're just fabulous. And you mentioned Longines. One thing happened to me not long ago that made me realize how Longines has skyrocketed over the last recent past. I had a high accuracy quartz Conquest, the one that you pull out the crown, the hand stop, and then you put it back in and it goes again.
Yeah.
So I had one of those, and right before bed, I put it down. I'd stop the crown, and the date was about to shift. So I pressed in the crown, and the hands went wild, and I videotaped it, right? And then the date jumped. It was the 20th February. So it was 28th. It was going to go to the 1st, and it jumped through all the dates all on its own as the hands are spinning and everything.
Yes.
And I posted that on Instagram as a reel.
Yeah.
Nothing else that I've ever posted on Instagram has done as well as this.
I believe
it was on a whim, right before bed, poor lighting. I put Can't Stop from the Red Hot Chili Peppers as a music in the background.
Yes.
And that silly little reel has gotten over 200,000 views, over 5,000 likes.
Wow.
And most of my stuff gets maybe 150 likes, 200 likes.
Wow.
It's wild. Nothing else I've ever done. And I've never been able to recreate it with any other watch.
Yes.
And I think that it hit the right person at the right time to be shared, and it just kept on growing and growing and growing. And so Longines is really, and we have our friend Alexandre Vorin, the head designer at Longines, to thank for a lot of that work. I mean, he's the one who designed the Big Eye and won the GPHG award for that, and did the Spirit collection and the Heritage divers and all that stuff. I mean, kudos to him and to Longines for that brilliant, visionary work, and it's fabulous.
Yeah.
So looking back, what decision or pivot are you most proud of in your career, other than hiring Bob?
I'm getting a lot of praise this one. What the heck?
the most important decision?
Yeah, or pivot, like change in strategies.
Oh man. And honestly, no joke. Having Bob at the time that I did, and I really do mean it, because and Jared, I think Jared started it all off, but really, I think a lot of people don't realize how hard hit we were during the pandemic. Literally nobody, again, if you go back and you YouTube the concourse or the path during the pandemic, we were literally a ghost town. And we had to pivot, and we really had to turn a retail store, and Bob can attest to this. It was literally a warehouse, boxes everywhere and watches everywhere. And really that with the combination of the connection with the watch community, really helped me take the next step, really, jump to the next level. So as much as I'd say, I did it all, no, I had the help of Bob and the watch community to think.
Hey, you made the decision to hype Bob, so that's where the
the listeners won't be able to see this, but we have this screen where we can see each other, and I think that Bob's head is getting larger and larger.
You can't see the logo anymore.
Oh boy.
We've talked a lot, Sam, about like the contemporary collections that you carry at Gem Bijou, which are myriad. You've got a lot of really great stuff there, but there's a whole other world that you represent as well in the pre-owned luxury market. And as you know, because I text you sometimes, I prowl around the website frequently, looking at the Tag Heuers, the Omegas, the Tudors, the Breitlings, and the IWC that you've got there. Now, I know that some of these are consignment pieces, but how do you acquire the ones that are not? And do you ever have any issues, or is it a lot of legwork to establish the provenance of these pieces?
We try to, the watch community knows, they'll bring in their watches, as you mentioned, for consignment or trades. Some people want to sell them outright. My brother-in-law is also connected, very well connected, to the pre-owned watch community, and he deals with gold and all of that. So his ability to acquire really some of the hard to find, sought after models is very good. Because again, the people sometimes have a hard time, or people get bored, and they'll go to him and they'll sell him some watches, and we use that as a way to just introduce back into Gem Bijou and in the pre-owned section.
What do you mean people get bored with their watches and sell them off? That never happens.
Well, not all watch community, right? There's some people that buy the watch.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Mark's a revolving door of watch buyers.
Yeah, he's a notorious flipper.
Yeah.
He has the attention span of a tsetse fly.
I resemble that remark.
You do. Next week, Caroline and I are headed to Sweden, and we're going to Kaplan Auction House, and we've been collaborating with them for over a year now, and we're going to get a chance to photograph the vintage collection before the important watches auction in November. And I'm looking so forward to this event. But we have had the opportunity to do the same at your store, and it was a great day. We went in and we were able to photograph some of the watches that were there, and I hope, of course, that that's part of our future collaboration as well. But one of them, of course, sticks with me more than all the others, and it's the 1959 Omega Speedmaster that you have, the caliber 321. Now, I understand, of course, that that's not part of the pre-owned, that's part of your own personal collection. So how did it come into your possession or into the possession of your family?
So from my understanding, this came through my grandfather, and we got access to it, and I didn't know what it was, honestly, when I first got it. And where do I go? I reach out to the watch community. Who do I ask? I asked Marc, and Marc offered to buy it from me. That's when I knew I have to keep this watch. But yeah, that watch did come through my family, and I had, rest in peace, Shane. Not sure if you guys are familiar with Shane, but he was really the watchmaker of Toronto watch community, and he looked at it and he's like, Sam, this is a very high value watch, take care of it, and keep it, basically. And ever since, I've kept it, and again, I pride myself for having this watch, and it's really could be a big part of what really got me. I got my family into the watch world, and to have an Omega with that history would be ideal to display in a beautiful Omega shop in shop.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I can imagine what that.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah. It's interesting because I remember when I was wearing it, and I was surprised. I think I even said something to you that day about the fragility, or at least the perceived fragility, of things like the bracelet, etc. And yet this was a tool watch of its era, and eventually, of course, it led to this whole idea of space exploration when NASA got involved, etc. But still, to take a look at it and to realize that, wow, like, watches have come so far in their robustness, for example, or their ruggedness, and yet this one's still there and still in fantastic shape too.
Yeah, I think it was Rico who told us that on the podcast. He says these watches are worn by people that are not dumb collectors like us who don't want to get our watches wet. I mean, they wore them all the time in all kinds of circumstances. In the
Yeah.
50s and 60s, these watches were tools, like proper tools.
Mhm.
And that watch probably shares some really cool history, and it's so incredible that it came down through your family. Congratulations on that watch. That's phenomenal.
Thank you so much.
So, Sam, what
Thank you so
advice would
much.
you have to offer to someone wanting to enter the luxury watch and jewelry retail business today?
Honestly, don't.
I knew you were going to say
Or at
that.
least pick another city.
Well,
Yeah.
well, no, I'll tell you why. I think we're gonna look at it from two different perspectives. If we're looking at it as really what it is, it's obviously a great, a great business to get into. You get to meet a lot of interesting people. You get to deal with a lot of great brands, and that side of it. I think that's, but our industry, or the watch community, or the jewelry business, sorry, as a whole, there's a lot of risk right now with kind of what's happening with, break in and enter and robberies and all that stuff. So this is really a reality that we have to acknowledge when we are dealing with our business. Whether now the glass has to be certain thickness, and just the costs of prepping your space to be safe, really, and being concerned, and for your family and all that stuff. So on a serious note, it's probably a downer to talk about that side of the business, but it's a reality that we have to deal with. But would I wouldn't trade this for anything. I still love what I do. I really enjoy being in the watch business. I look to grow, and not gonna let this obviously stop me, or somebody really wants to do it and they're prepared to take this challenge, go for it. Just be aware of the risks. I think it's a reality that we have to be aware of.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess it's a different world now than it was
Correct.
years ago.
Yeah.
So, outside of watches and jewelry, what passions or interests energize you?
Oh man. I love, I have my diver's license, so I dive. I fly, actually, believe it or not. I started getting into flying.
We
I
need to know
don't.
now which watches you wear for both these things.
So yeah, I started flying about a year ago or so, but again, it's just the time to get the flights in and all of that. What else do I do? My favorite thing is really spending time with family, and I think that's the biggest challenge with the traveling, with the time, with kind
The
of
retail
everything.
hours.
Yeah, the retail. Again, I have Sean and I have staff, so retail hours, yes, it is. But outside of that, it's just all the commitments, and all the different things that we have to take on as a business.
Are you gearing up for you and your family used to always do the NBA Fantasy League?
No.
I always enjoyed the trash talk.
It's funny that you say that. I've retired. I retired
Okay.
on top.
How did you?
I won it last year, and I told them, that's it. I'm retiring, and I have to focus on my business. It's funny that you mentioned that, Bob.
So, if you weren't in this business, what do you imagine you might be doing instead?
If I wasn't in this business, what would I be doing? Oh man, I'd probably have, honestly, like an office job. I did graduate with a BA in economics. I wanted to get into banking and do my securities course and all of that. So I probably would have gone that direction if I wasn't in the watch industry. But it's in my blood, so I knew that I would be doing this.
We're glad that you
It's
did.
hard. Yeah. It's hard to see me doing something else than this.
Other than the obvious financial answer, how do you measure your success or the success of Gem Bijou?
To me personally, it's acquiring brands. I think in general, as you grow within your business, brands show interest in you, and you show interest in brands, and it's pretty much a cat and mouse game, right? So you want to acquire the next brand. Now that we got Montblanc, what is the next step? The next step is to really start dabbling in the luxury side of the business. So where do we go next? Do we approach a Richmond brand? Do we approach a Swatch Group brand? Do we talk to Omega? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. A little bit too aggressive with Omega here, but yeah, it would be a goal of mine. I do have some goals, and that is really one of the that would be my ultimate achievement, I guess, to reach these goals with acquiring brands, and just to be considered as one of the elite retailers, and to leave my daughter with with this business, and hopefully she wants to carry on the tradition, and making it 4 generations instead of 3 generations.
Let her know there's a
Just
Speedmaster
continues.
1959 in there for her.
Yes, she knows when she gets married, her husband
She's
can
already
have that
ironing it.
She's only 7 years old, so she's
Oh gosh, you lost
but
time.
I take her with me to the Markville store, and she started cleaning the glass, just get her
She
to dabble
could
a
be
little
like
bit
in charge of security. One of her things she used to like to do at the shop was taking all of the price tags and sticking all of the cabinets closed with the price.
Yes.
There'd be stickers all over the place.
She loved stickers. Yes. Took hours to clean that up, but remembering that she was doing that just made it a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So before we close, is there anything you'd like the listeners to know about you or Gem Bijou that we haven't touched on yet?
Oh, we did touch on it, but the idea of we're here for the watch community. If you ever, if ever you need anything, we're here to help. We're very open. We're very welcoming. Bob is sorry, but let's go back. Sean is very helpful, great, and just for the watch community and beyond, just to know that you're gonna get a friendly, and you're gonna get a full knowledge and experience at Gem Bijou, and we're gonna treat you right.
Yeah, you know what?
Awesome.
I have a follow up to this, and we didn't have this on our outline. I always feel terrible when I go to a jewelry store or a watch store and spend 10, 15, 20 minutes of somebody else's time, knowing full well that I'm not there to buy anything. I just want to
Mhm.
look at the watches and talk watches with someone, and I leave feeling horrible that I wasted that person's time.
Yes.
And I actually try to time my visits to these places months apart so that so they don't. I walk in and say, "Oh, that guy again."
Yes.
How do you feel about that when someone like me walks in to just say hello and to see the newest novelties and the newest watches? Do you actually enjoy showing off the new stuff because you're genuinely passionate about the products, or is it just, oh my god, I know I'm not making a sale here, I'm wasting my time?
Um, the truth, I have no problems with it as long as the customer communicates that. And
Yeah,
that's it. And I think for me the biggest challenge is really when you have somebody who is interested in kind of knowing the latest and greatest, and wants to touch and feel, but they have no intention in buying. I
the
have no
watches, right?
issues.
The watches, touch and feel the watches, not Bob.
Yes, the watches, definitely the
Okay, the
watches.
watches. Okay.
So if somebody wants to be able to really get hands-on with the watches, we have no problems. It just, we want to also make sure that it's balanced with a potential customer who's coming in who wants to purchase.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we notice that's one thing. I always, I kind of have with Sean is he has no issues, and you'll go look at the reviews. And one of the key reviews that I get with dealing with Sean is the patience. He is far more patient than I am. He will sit down with the customer, and he has no issues spending an hour. I can call him, and we can be having some major crisis happening, and he's not going to answer his phone until he finishes with that customer. And when he finishes with that customer, then he will call you back and say, "Hey Sam, how can I help you?" That's really what I guess if there's something that we want to say that's different about our store is that, answering phones or any of that. It's full, undivided attention that you will get when you're dealing with shop.
I told the guys earlier before we started recording. Actually, I was talking to Brent that I used to work at a store called Aventure Électronique. It was a electronic store that was in Quebec for a number of years, and I was a manager there in the early '90s. And then I wound up leaving there to work at a small independent place called La Boutique Électronique in the West Island in Montreal, and there was a little higher end products, and that's what I used to do. I used to spend all the time that the customer wanted. We were a small boutique away from a mall, a standalone store. So if you drove all the way to our place and got out of your car to come into our store, you deserve that attention. And I would let them, you want to hear a sound system? You want to hear a surround sound system? Let's go to this room here. We'll plug in, we'll put in this movie, we'll watch that part, whatever you wanted. And when they walked in or walked out without purchasing anything, didn't matter, because they'll remember the experience that they had. That guy spent his time with me, taught me something, let me play with something, let me handle something. When it does come time to purchase, I'm going to go back and see that guy again because he was really nice. I think that's the right way to do it.
That's right. I agree.
Yeah, 100%.
What did you let him play with, Matt?
Come on, Brent. I'm not Bob. No one wants to play with this toy.
All right, guys. Well, it is Friday. This is going to be coming out on Monday, but it's the long weekend, and I know everybody's got plans. So just want to say on behalf of us and the listeners that we all really appreciate taking the time. It's been great chatting. Need to come down and do some watch shopping soon. So we'll see you down there at some point, Sam. But thanks so much, and talk again soon.
Thank you so much. Best of luck to the Blue Jays, and as we know,
go Jays.
The famous line. What is it? The Yankees lose, right?
Yeah. The Yankees lose.
Yeah.
Go Jays.
Go Jays, go. The Time to Calibrate podcast is out every 2 weeks and can be found wherever you get your podcasts. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out on Instagram or email us directly at timetocalibrate@gmail.com. Until next time, T2C out.